This is the statement of trade and investment for Canada for 2010. I'd like to go over this with you and make a couple of comments on the following paragraphs. First point, there's a comment here about equivalent to the Great Depression of the 1930s. That's fairly significant to mention that because the Great Depression had a serious economic and social cultural impact on North America for many generations to come. The other point is the mention of the 1982 recession. I graduated from university in 1982. Things were so bad that I left Canada, went and taught English as a second language in Japan for a couple of years and didn't come back till 1985. I mean, the 1982 recession was very serious. The point here about resources and talking about every province, the resource intensive economies, etc., that's significant because as countries like China, for example, are producing less to be able to sell at Walmart in the United States because people are cutting back, then they don't have to manufacture as much. They don't have to manufacture as much. They don't have to import the raw materials for that. The point here about a synchronized recession is referring to the fact that every large economy around the world was affected by what happened in the United States, not just the United States and its immediate trade partners. Another point here about investment in residential construction. That's also considered a barometer of the domestic economy because it refers to people making better money from their jobs to move out of apartments into 3- and 4-bedroom houses, and also refers to the immigrants who are coming from the newly industrialized countries such as India and China, who are also bringing with them young families and moving into 3-, 4-, 5-bedroom houses in North Markham and Mississauga, etc. The fact that the construction industry was cut back was a reflection of the demand on housing, which also reflected immigration and the economic ability of those people to be able to have the money from jobs that may or may not have been available to be able to spend on that housing. Canada is more an export-oriented economy and services, but manufacturing is still important, and the fact that manufacturing was the hardest hit was significant because manufacturing is also a driver of the service industry to the extent that automotive parts companies use banking services, insurance services, accounting services, and if they're cutting back, then it means there's less of a demand for the service industry to provide for those. It's also concerned that agricultural output fell. There was two reasons for this. One, because domestic demand was less and agricultural producers are producing less because the prices aren't there, and secondly because Canadian agricultural exports have declined. Partly one of the reasons for that is because of the cost of exporting agricultural products. The countries that are importing are having to pay more because the Canadian dollar has been very strong. And towards the end of this document they talk about the Canadian dollar appreciating for 6 years and then dropping a little bit in 2009, but as we know from 2010 it got quite strong again, and as we are doing this little video in January first week of 2011, the Canadian dollar is at parity with the US dollar.